Welcome to TRC, the Renaissance Chronicles. And it's back, new year. Tried to do this video before and hit some difficulties beyond my spectrum of knowledge. So I'm going to do it again because the determination is to share this activation code. And I remember when I was doing something recently that I did the process. I had to wait 15 to 20 days for a letter to come through the mail with an activation code. And once you get the code, it gave me full access and power to the information and the access I need to gain other things. And I thought about video games and how they have cheat codes and how they have these codes. And when you have the code, you know how to access the power. And 2025, it started off with a bang. I mean, the fires, the murders, the New Year's Day. I mean, it was just so many horrific events. And I'm thinking, we haven't even gotten to the crux of the year. So I was compelled to make a video that will empower my people. And it's like faith over fear. Before the pandemic hit, I wrote a book. And when the pandemic came into full bloom, I published the book on my own, self-published, and the name of the book was Fear, the Greatest Show on Earth. And I'm watching the inauguration events, people responding, this and that. And I'm seeing from both sides of the racial spectrum that there is fear and panic all over this globe because of what happened in America or what's transpiring or what's coming forward. And I'm thinking, like, what do we do to not escape? Because we cannot run from what's already in front of us, but we can run to the rock that you cling to. And I'm talking about Yah. That's the only rock I know. So I put down these notes and just want to share them with you. I'm not going to take much of your time. And I know everybody's saying the same YouTube thing: like, share, subscribe. Family, it's more about the sharing of this information, especially as I see so many things. And when you find truth, they try to quiet it. Just like the brother in Atlanta who has a church from Newark, from New York, that is, Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell. And his church is based upon Matthew 28:19, the Great Commission. And it's just, they're trying to shut him down, for lack of better words, because he's speaking truth to power. And I really am flustered because we have all the other mega pastors, churches, and all these other doctrines of belief. And I'm not saying they're not going through persecutions, but he's being spiritually attacked at this moment because he's spreading the truth, and that's what they don't want. You know that the people who are in charge are the sons of perdition, or better yet, the sons of liars. So their ultimate creator, their demonic leadership they follow, can only spread misinformation, miseducation, and bad information. But today, let me give you the activation code. The Red Sea analogy is the greatest one I can use because we all heard about the children of Israel in Egypt. And in those days, Moses, who was a murderer, please remember that, was called into power to stand up and share truth to power. And Pharaoh eventually said, all right, take those people and get from around me. My son just died, and there's so much turmoil in Egypt. Go, get away from us. But then he wanted to make Egypt great again. Get it? So he went back to take his property, as he called it, those people, those slaves, those people who were doing all the work while he sat and lived the lavish lifestyle. And then, as they were almost reaching to the point of, I'm free of this individual, this power, this struggle, the Red Sea was before them. And Moses knew that they had fear. He knew they had some doubt, but Moses had to stand firm in his faith. The same faith that made him run into the wilderness for 40 years and hide out. The same faith that led him to go through these 7 days or these 7 plagues that would begin to free up his people's mindset and their physical bodies. And when I think about that time, these people were at this Red Sea. Just imagine standing at an ocean or on the brink of a sea, and there's no way around it. But you have to get to the other side, or these people, these enemies from behind you, are going to take your life. So he stretched out his rod, and of course, you know the story. The Red Sea parted, and the children, I don't think they, timidly walked into that particular, that ocean, that pathway. They walked in a little bit of a holy hurry. We're going to get up out of here. You're not going to get us. And as they continued, they got to the other side, and they were all up. And when they were all over, Pharaoh and his arrogance, his pompous, his trumpeteers attitude says, I'm still going to get these people back. But the power that held the waters back was not his power. It was his power. And as they, made their way, we're going to get back. And when they did that, their lives were taken away. And that led me to saying, what are we going to do right now? Right now, we are on the verge of standing at the Red Sea. And we have got to make a choice. Faith over fear. And this pastor that I listen to occasionally, Eric Thomas, the hip-hop preacher, was talking about sweet and sour chicken and how, we have to embrace that thing in that moment. And a lot of us love the highs that we might have had in past days or whatever was going on that gave you that sense of purpose. But then the sour moments came. Then some more sweet. Then some sour moments came. You get the pattern. See, you're going to have a mountaintop, a valley low. A mountaintop, a valley low. Just because you get to the mountain don't mean you stay there. You have to go back down into the trials, the tribulations, the persecutions. And that's where I love the verse from Galatians, I think it's 5, verse 22, when they're talking about the fruit of the spirits. Everybody knows, it's like, oh, you get love, peace, joy, meekness, kindness, long-suffering. Now to my Hebrew brothers and sisters out there, we've been suffering long in these states, and you have people from the outside, other Afro descendants who are like, well, the African Americans don't know their own place, they don't know their history. Family, let me tell you something. There are too many of us in these states who know what's going on. You might not see us because you're watching the buffoonery. You're watching the coonery, and you're watching all these other little people who have no idea. But behold, Father said there will be a remnant set apart. And I'm talking to the remnant right now. You have the activation code. Faith over fear. I don't care what they do. I speak for myself. Man, they could cut me. They could lock me up. They could do anything that they want to possibly to this physical body. I fear not the man who can harm my body, but I fear my Father who can harm the body and the soul. Just ponder on that for a minute. You're worrying about taxes and this and that and this church and that church and who's saying this. Those are not your problems. He said, set your affections on things that are above, not on things of the earth. All we're talking about on these videos on YouTube that I'm watching is the things of the earth, the powers that be, how they rule everything. And I'm like, the verse said set. That means to place your mind on things that are above, not below. And I want to share this message because it's too important that you have the activation code. That faith kills the fear. See, when people like that, like the brother up in Atlanta whose church is being persecuted, it's because of his strong faith and because people are online, digital disciples. He had membership grow by the thousands in the past 3 months of 2024. You don't think other people are feeling that? Oh, my bad, because they're not getting that tithe money? No, it's because they don't have that physical body or that power over these people who they were sharing misinformation or not all of the information that would empower these people. So these people went out and sought out Pastor Philip, and they saw that he was speaking that truth to power. And they were like, we got to shut him down. There's brothers up in Chicago doing the same type of ministry. They're trying to shut these people down. Anything that's truth, they'll call it woke. But see, what I realized, Marcus Garvey used that term woke way back when. So why would you take upon the woke? You want us to stay asleep? That's exactly why. Wake up, family. Fear, faith over fear. Even as we go through that sweet and sour chicken, I like it. You know, you get a little bit of sweet, sour at the same time, but you got to keep going. It's like in order to enjoy it. That means you got to take those valley moments till you get to your mountaintop experience. Then it'll take you back down into your valley moments. Each and every time you're learning, you're building up a spiritual muscle. See, you can still face adversity because the activation code, it not only defends you, but it attacks for you. That activation code, the faith over fear, it not only defends for you, it attacks simultaneously. Family, isn't that a good thing, a good power that we have? So when you have your sweet and sour, rock with it. But faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. There was another thing that I wanted to talk about just in closing, because when you have that faith, and my father said, even if you have a mustard seed faith, you can move a mountain. But see, that takes a belief in the power outside of yourself. A lot of us want to do everything the way we've learned or the way we've taught or whatever it is. Can you just take 2024 and back and let all of those things go and step forward in the knowledge that he's giving you now to let your faith rule your life and watch him work? I've been through too many situations personally that I was sitting here thinking, how will I overcome? That was my issue. I couldn't do it. I was powerless. I was powerless, homeless, and everything else in between there. Being kicked, and all I did was smile and kept going. I was being talked about, smiled, and kept going. I was living with people who were calling me all kind of things. I smiled and kept going, washing the dishes, cleaning the house, still sharing love. I didn't care what they did to me because faith told me that if I keep believing, he would redeem me. And I'm now at a place where James 1 and 2 says, count it all joy. Not part joy, not some joy, not mostly joy, all. When you fall into diverse temptation and other things that happen, that means you keep going. When Yahushua Mashiach was carrying that cross, he was counting it all joy. That his persecution, his beating, the stripes, everything they were doing to him would be the redemptive power that would bring you and me home. You got to imagine, you got a crown of thorns and everybody around you just making mockery. Your own people, by the way. But he decided, this is more important than my personal feelings. Now, there's one other thing. Everybody's using the word emotional intelligence, and I'm thinking, wow, that word has become the buzzword. And just because people use it, do they walk in it? I mean, literally walk in emotional intelligence. It takes a whole lot to do that. It takes training and it takes time. Just using a word, being aware of its concepts, knowing how it applies to life means nothing. See, that's the knowledge. You have the understanding. But wisdom is walking it out day in, day out. And that's where I want you to say, faith over fear. Faith over fear. And the scripture says when faith does her work, she produces perseverance. Persevere means you're going to go through some things that's going to cut you up. But it say you'll go through. It's not going to stop you. So family, I want to say, please keep going on. My best quote that I used to say in the classroom is, I'm not affected by flattery or criticism. See, that's the sweet and sour. People are going to say things, talk, but it can't affect my movements. And I'm walking daily in his power. I'm walking towards his destiny. And family, I am so happy that we've all made it to this point. Not many people could see themselves here, but we're here now, and we're going forward. In the name of Yah, the Son, Yahshua HaMashiach, and the Ruach, the Spirit within us, that's our gift. So accept your gift, and remember, faith over fear. Faith over fear. Faith over fear. I am Saint Renaissance, and this has been the Renaissance Chronicles. Shalom.